The New York Times did an audio interview with Donald Trump, and it's truly bizarre. And it's starting to get to the point where questions about Trump's mental and emotional stability really sort of can't be ignored. Trump said yesterday in this interview that excerpts of which were released by the New York Times that he never would have appointed Jeff Sessions to Attorney General if he had known that Jeff Sessions was going to recuse himself from anything Russia related. He called that decision by Jeff Sessions, quote, very unfair to the president, which this entire thing of people being fair to Trump is yet another way in which he's sort of projected the fact that everything he's done really hasn't been fair to anyone, the American people, other elected officials. But I'm sort of digressing from the main point about Jeff Sessions. He said, quote, Sessions should have never recused himself. And if he was going to recuse himself, he should have told me before he took the job, and I would have picked somebody else, which makes absolutely no sense on many levels. Number one, before Jeff Sessions was selected by Donald Trump, I mean, I guess given what appears to be Sessions' involvement, it's possible he could have foreseen how this entire Trump Russia thing was going to explode. But why would Jeff Sessions have anticipated such a recusal at the very beginning of his selection process? And in addition to that, Sessions really had no choice but to do that. The guy was clearly involved in part of the problem with Trump Russia, not recusing himself. And Trump probably is too much of a political novice to even realize this. Sessions not recusing himself would probably have caused Trump even more trouble. And Donald Trump said in this interview with the New York Times that it was Sessions's recusal that ultimately led to the appointment of Special Prosecutor Robert Mueller, which is sort of an odd perspective because Trump seems to be operating in a very simplistic world where if B happened after A, it must have been caused by A. While it's true that the special prosecutor was appointed after the recusal of Jeff Sessions, there were endless other factors and reasons that we ultimately ended up with a special prosecutor. And the recusal of Jeff Sessions was only part of the broader Russia question, so to speak. In this same very odd interview with the New York Times, Trump went after not only Jeff Sessions, but also went after fired FBI Director James Comey, saying that Comey tried to leverage a dossier of compromising material in order to keep his job. Bear in mind that this is the same dossier that for a long time Donald Trump claimed didn't even exist. Later, Trump claimed that the contents of the dossier were bogus, despite the dossier's existence being real. But we've seen since that point many aspects of that blackmail dossier confirmed. And of course, James Comey didn't put the dossier together. It was put together by former MI6 operative Christopher Steele. But here's the crazy thing. If Donald Trump is criticizing James Comey for wanting to use a dossier of compromising information against Donald Trump, effectively wanting to blackmail Donald Trump, blackmail only works if the dirt you have is true. Trump is effectively incriminating himself here by saying, I don't like that Comey tried to use an incriminating report about me against me to keep his job. Whether or not that's true, that would only even conceivably be a viable strategy if there's actual incriminating information about Donald Trump, and Trump doesn't have the wherewithal and intelligence to realize that by even making this allegation, he's effectively incriminating himself. Donald Trump also criticized in this interview with the New York Times not only Jeff Sessions, not only the fired FBI Director James Comey, but also the acting FBI Director who temporarily replaced James Comey. He also criticized the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein. He slammed Special Prosecutor Robert Mueller and sort of issued like a thinly veiled threat to Mueller. He actually said, if Robert Mueller starts looking at Trump's family's finances above and beyond just Russia-related stuff, that it would cross a red line, which is sort of a threat from the president to the special prosecutor. And this is the guy that supposedly is the most loyal. There's no one more loyal than Trump. He's rebuking Jeff Sessions. The Flynn thing was a disaster. Trump ended up having to force him to resign. But Trump also seems completely disconnected from reality, because he again insisted during this New York Times interview that he's not under investigation. And that ship has long sailed. Trump is quoted in the interview as saying, "I don't think we're under investigation. I'm not under investigation. For what? I didn't do anything wrong." That ship has sailed, Donnie boy. Numerous reports now indicate, and they kind of have for close to 2 months now, that Robert Mueller is investigating Donald Trump, both for his potential role in the collusion or coordination with Russia itself, as well as his role in the cover-up, including potential obstruction of justice. It doesn't seem to me that Donald Trump is even capable of sort of acting in a way that doesn't seem suspicious or erratic. And the question I came away with from listening to excerpts from this New York Times interview is, how was Trump even in that room? Who thought it was a good idea for Donald Trump to be interviewed by the New York Times? And a common trait of total narcissists is that they are super confident in their ability to say anything they want, because they believe anyone I talk to is going to be persuaded by my perspective, and they're going to come away seeing it my way. And that really appears to be affecting Donald Trump here. We know Trump is a terrible legal client, right? He doesn't listen to his lawyers. Lawyers worry that Trump won't even pay them for their work. But this is sort of a new low, going after his own current sitting attorney general and really everybody else. Total lack of personal responsibility. The video you just finished watching was made possible by you through the membership program. You can sign up for membership at davidpakman.com/membership. We are viewer-supported independent media. You can use the coupon code IVOTED17 for a 40% discount off of your membership.